The slopes are powdered, the rink is iced, and the world's attention is focused on PyeongChang, South Korea, with the arrival of the 2018 Winter Olympics. Honor and glory, strength and finesse. Olympians are who we strive to be and achieve what most can only dream. Tonight, we're getting an all-access look into the lives of 4 elite athletes as they prepare to represent the U.S. at the Winter Games. We're going for gold right here on First Look. With the 2018 Olympics upon us, everyone's attention is now entirely focused on PyeongChang, South Korea, as the world's most elite winter athletes are all vying for gold. I'm Dhani Jones, coming to you from Chelsea Piers, New York's playground. Now, as a former professional athlete myself, I can tell you firsthand that every competitor's path to glory is unique unto themselves. And tonight, we're exploring men's figure skating frontrunner Nathan Chen, sled hockey gold medalist Rico Roman, and 3-time Olympic cross-country skier Andy Newell. But before we get to the men, there's one female athlete who's leaving them in their snowboard dust.
The beauty of modern sports is anything is possible. And if there's one person who embodies the word possibility, it's Amy Purdy. This athletic juggernaut is the winner of a bronze medal at Sochi, an accomplished speaker, a New York Times best-selling author, and a TV sensation when she came in second place on Dancing with the Stars. And she achieved all this despite being a double-leg amputee.
I didn't think that would be that hard, but whew.
But the story of this Wonder Woman doesn't start on the slopes. It begins in the desert.
I grew up in Las Vegas, and there's ski resorts outside of Vegas, which a lot of people don't know about. My dad would take my sister and I up and, ski down the hill.
Amy actually was a pretty good skier. She took to it right away.
It wasn't until I was about 15 years old that I discovered snowboarding. My goal was really to travel the world, snowboard, live in beautiful places, and just be a part of the lifestyle.
But everything came to a screeching halt, and Amy's dreams were on the line when life stepped in with its own plan.
I was 19 years old when I contracted meningococcal meningitis, and it happened like that. I felt like I had the flu one day. Within 24 hours, I was in the hospital on life support, given less than a 2% chance of living.
And then she asked me, she says, "Dad, am I going to die?" And I said, "Gosh, it still gets me. We weren't going to let her die."
It was a miracle that she survived.
The doctor came in one day and said, "If we don't amputate your legs here," and he kind of pointed mid-calf, "then next week we're going to have to do it up here," and he pointed above my knees. I, pulled together whatever strength I had and just said, "Let's do this so I can get out of here."
She had made up her mind she wanted to live.
Getting out of bed and back on the slopes wasn't easy, but it wasn't just a matter of letting her body recover. Amy had to rethink how to approach everything.
I got back on the snow about 6 months after losing my legs, and I ended up falling and my legs completely detached. I'd have to think of how to keep them attached to my body.
This is when Amy found a new force in her life, her partner, now husband Daniel.
Thanks. What would I do without you? I think I broke my toe.
You did break your
Look,
toes.
my toe broke off.
Something just fell out of your a bolt.
And I broke a bolt.
He has joined her on a journey that would eventually catapult her to the top of the snowboarding community.
We have loved Daniel from the moment we met him. They are soulmates.
For the first couple of years that we knew each other, she was really working hard to get back into snowboarding. And at the time, there weren't a lot of resources.
And I called every prosthetic manufacturer across the country, asking if they've ever worked with a double-leg amputee snowboarder before, and the answer that I got back was no. I ended up teaming up with my leg maker, just playing around with different pieces that we could put together.
So I can't take this off because I actually duct taped it all together.
That's very smart.
And they worked well enough to get me back on the snow.
And so began a common theme. If there's a challenge, it will only make Amy Purdy climb higher.
I was invited to a snowboard competition. I ended up bringing home a couple medals. Met amazing people who were going through the same situation as me, and it really sparked this idea of creating a community.
And we created the organization Adaptive Action Sports, founded it in 2005.
We started the organization because at the time that I lost my legs, there were zero resources for somebody who had a physical disability who wanted to get involved in action sports.
Right now we have 12 resident athletes that are living here and training with us full time. What the organization is doing really is part of our culture, our lifestyle.
Good job.
Adaptive Action Sports had a huge part of getting snowboarding into the Paralympic Games in the first place, and so I'm one of the founders, but at the same time I'm also one of the recipients.
Amy Purdy of the United States of America.
In Sochi, I was right on the sidelines for Amy's bronze medal winning run.
She is obviously a non-stop girl of action. Amy Purdy, bronze medalist.
I visualized it, and then all of a sudden I was there.
It was almost surreal.
The look on her face is exhilarating, and it's just, wow, what an accomplishment.
Looking back and seeing just everything it took to be there, including losing my legs. I wouldn't have had that accomplishment and that amazing experience in my life had I have not gone through everything that I've gone through. And that's why I think we have to look at our challenges a little differently, because challenges can really stop you, but they can really motivate you to get further than you ever knew you could go.
I know without a doubt she's going to bring home gold this time. Her head is in it. She's in it to win it.
You never know the strength you'll have until you're forced to use it. That's what empowers me.
Coming up, a figure skating prodigy is born.
The boy loves to fly. There was no fear involved there.
We'll be seeing a lot more of this young man, that's for sure.
In the biggest moment,
Here comes Team USA.
when the biggest race comes around,
Here they come for the finish.
the biggest routine,
That's what an Olympic champion looks like.
the biggest game,
And go to the United States.
we want to be prepared. We want to let the world know who we're cheering for, who we're standing with, and who we are. We are Team USA. Shop now at teamusashop.com.
Tonight on First Look, we're all about the winter athletes who are going for gold in the 2018 Winter Olympics. I'm Dhani Jones, coming to you from Chelsea Piers right here in New York City. Combining pure artistry with immense strength and power, Olympic figure skating is always a fan favorite. And headed to his first Olympic Games at only 18 years of age, Nathan Chen is simply ready to lift off.
Everyone has their own, characteristics in skating. Some things that they're good at, some things that they're not so good at, but I'm very jump-based.
The boy loves to fly. Any little jump I taught him when he was little, there was no fear involved there.
You set up with a lot of speed going into it, and basically your tap is like a pole vault. When you tap into the ice, you kind of just feel like you sink into the ice, and you don't even use much effort. You just kind of rebound right back into the air. That's basically a quad.
Captivating crowds with his gravity-defying quads, 4 full rotations off a single jump, it's not surprising that this Olympic nominee's journey began with the Olympics themselves.
Which Olympics are we going to see you in?
2018, I think.
Okay, we'll look forward to it.
I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. 2002 Olympics were in Salt Lake City. Because of that, a whole bunch of new rinks were built around my area. My sisters really loved figure skating. My mom loved to watch figure skating as a kid, so she took us all to the rink. My brother started playing hockey, and I thought that the goalie gear was super cool, super sick, and I was like, Mom, that's what I want to be. I want to be a goalie. And she basically was like, okay, well, you don't even know how to skate. It probably would be easier for you to start on a figure skate blade. Apparently, I didn't move the entire session. And at the end of the 2 hours, the Zamboni comes on to clean the ice off. Apparently I just stood there and cried. My mom literally had to run out with sneakers and drag me off the ice. She realized that I love figure skating a lot, and that's kind of how I got started.
I probably only seen this with a couple of kids. It was a seed that came with him when he was born.
And by the time he was 4, Nathan was skating competitively.
Men's champion, Nathan Chen. And here's the fan favorite, the novice men's champion,
Nathan Chen, at 10 years old, the youngest skater at the U.S. Championships.
From there, Nathan was only looking to further develop himself as a formidable force.
I saw his potential, definitely. He already could do some elements nobody could do in the U.S.
You would hit this line like here, and then your axle line you would increase better this part.
So that was incredible. I never met anybody like that. So it means he understands approach, he understands how to develop himself. So that's what I think makes him to be what he is right now.
Under Atuyin's tutelage, Nathan went on to win gold at the 2011 ISU Junior Grand Prix with the highest score ever awarded at that time. But the right coach was only half of the equation.
My dad came to the U.S. for his medical degree, spent his time as a research scientist, and my mom works as a medical interpreter in hospitals. They really wanted the best for us, and they really pushed us to succeed in whatever we really love doing.
After dazzling crowds with a series of quadruple jumps and winning his second consecutive U.S. championship, Nathan manifested his own prediction and was nominated to compete at the 2018 Winter Olympics.
I can't even imagine what it'll be like at the Olympics in PyeongChang. I've dreamt about that feeling a lot as a kid, and has definitely fueled me throughout my skating career. The more people, the more energy, and the more excitement, and I'm ready for it. To have a successful career, I think that medals and standing on top of the podium really have to tie into that. If you don't really enjoy what you're doing, if you're not very passionate about what you're doing, I just believe that there's not as much point to it. You have to really love what you're doing. That way, if you have experiences like that where you're standing on top of the podium, it really means something to you. Honestly, I probably couldn't live without skating. I mean, it's just like part of my life.
We'll be seeing a lot more of this young man, that's for sure.
Coming up, hockey with heart. Being injured and separated from the guys you serve with is tough, and I got that back from hockey. Tonight on First Look, we're focused on the athletes who are solely focused on gold. Now, hockey has long been celebrated both here at home and abroad. And over the years, we've seen the game grow faster and the players bigger, stronger. But Rico Roman is showing us all that the true measure of a competitor is the size of his heart.
He's a great leader off the ice as well as on the ice. Definitely a mentor in the sport of sled hockey. He has a lighthearted attitude. He's very patient, very methodical, but at the same time, he's very aggressive. He's Rico Roman.
At 37 years of age, this forward is pushing Team USA towards a gold hat trick in PyeongChang in the arena of sled hockey.
We kind of joke that stand-up hockey players got it easier because they skate with their legs and shoot with their arms, and we have to skate with our arms. It's kind of like a cross-country skiing motion, and shoot with our arms. Balancing on those blades requires a lot of core strength. Using your upper body in ways that you hadn't used it before is super difficult.
You're skating around, passing the puck, trying to get it to the net and score. Just like stand-up hockey.
They go hard, it's fast, it's every bit as aggressive and every bit as fun to watch.
First developed in the early 1960s within a Swedish rehabilitation center, sled hockey has become one of the Winter Games' most popular sports since it was first introduced in 1994.
Paralympics in general started from guys coming back from World War II. They wanted to compete and represent their country. So from that, that's where all the games came from. We've got 7 veterans on the U.S. national team at the moment, 5 Marine Corps veterans and 2 Army veterans.
Which is ultimately how Rico came to compete on the ice in the first place.
I wanted to do more, I wanted to see more, and wanted to serve my country. Back in 2007, I was a staff sergeant. I was in charge of a squad, so 2 teams, an Alpha and Bravo team, about 8 to 9 guys, and I was about 2 weeks from taking over the whole platoon. I was injured due to an improvised explosive device. In other words, a big bomb, a big nasty bomb. I was in a vehicle, blew up underneath us, and injured my left and right leg. And ultimately, I was able to save my leg, but I wasn't able to bend it. So I started weighing this option of maybe doing an amputation.
It was tough because after a whole year of trying to save my leg, and here I am starting all over again. That was definitely my lowest because I couldn't really eat, I couldn't really function, but what I'm so fortunate to have is my family, because yes, I was hurting, yes, I was tired, yes, I was miserable, but I always smiled because I had to be strong for them. They're the ones that fired me up for it and kept me positive even when I was at my lowest.
And the extension of that family was compounded from an unlikely source.
1, 2, 3, Everest! Being injured and separated from the guys you serve with is tough, and I got that back from hockey.
It's a huge brotherhood. They all understand what each other went through. They're a very tight-knit group.
I think about 8 months I played before my coach at the time, Lonnie Hanna, who was on the national team and also a Paralympian, said, hey, I think you got what it takes to try out for the Paralympic team. And I went and tried out. I got hit so hard. My helmet flew off, my sticks flew off, and somebody flew by me and said yard sale, because all my stuff was all over. And I knew right then and there I did not work hard enough to make this team, and I took it for granted. And I go, look, I don't have no excuses. I'll be back next year.
4 grueling tryout years would pass, but in 2014, Rico officially became an Olympian competing for gold.
I get goosebumps just thinking about Sochi. I mean, it was just unreal making that team and being able to represent my country and wear the USA colors.
But there was one additional color Rico would be rocking after a 1-0 victory over Russia in the sled hockey finals.
I remember after the game, them putting the gold medal on my neck and looking up into the stands and seeing my kids up there and knowing that they got to share that moment with me and all the hard work it took to get there.
They will be a force to be reckoned with.
I'm super excited about the games in 2018. This would be my second go at it. I feel like I know what to kind of expect. Whether I'm in uniform or out of uniform in the military, we're representing USA. And the same goes for when I now don the USA hockey jersey. I'm representing my country on the ice and off the ice. I'm so honored to be able to do it.
Coming up, cross-country skiing 101.
This is way harder than it looks. You make it look so graceful. I'm like Bambi on ice. Here we go.
Tonight on First Look, we're exploring the lives of several winter athletes who are going for gold in the 2018 Winter Olympics. And while many of the competitors are fresh-faced newbies, some returning Olympians like cross-country skier Andy Newell equally have their eyes on the prize, as our own Jonathan Bennett quickly found out.
This is way harder than it looks. You make it look so graceful. I'm like Bambi on ice. Here we go.
I think it's one of those beautiful sports to watch. It's a combination of pure speed, power, but it's also very graceful. Essentially what cross-country skiing is, it's kind of the original way to get from point A to point B over the snow. And you have to tackle anything that comes your way between the start and the finish, like an uphill, a downhill, a corner. Snowboarding, mogul skiing, alpine skiing is kind of all originated from cross-country skiing.
And if you're going to take up a new sport, it never hurts to get lessons from a 3-time Olympian on this year's Olympic course.
So what are the fundamentals that I have to know?
Well, in any kind of skiing, it helps to look good first.
Nailed it.
The leg movements are a lot like ice skating.
Yeah.
Or like even roller skating, if that's your thing.
Not since the 80s.
A native Vermonter, Andy Newell has been riding on skis since the tender age of 2. A few years later at 5, he was off to the races. It was clear from the start that he was destined for a life on the slopes, and when he was introduced to cross-country skiing, it was a perfect match.
Around Vermont, as a kid, there was a lot of different ski groups, and there was like an after-school program, so I could do it with my buddies.
Trained by legendary cross-country coach Sverre Caldwell at the prestigious Stratton Mountain School, Andy learned to eat, breathe, and sleep cross-country skiing. Upon graduation, he immediately qualified for the World Cup, where his talent soared.
What made you say, like, this is what I want to do?
Skiing is an incredibly popular sport because it's a social sport and it's something you can go do with your friends. But it wasn't, I think, until I started traveling the world, going to all these amazing places. Like here we are in Korea, right? You know, skiing. It's amazing. And I think people will see that at the Olympics, and that's what got me hooked.
As one of the pioneering members of the U.S. cross-country skiing team, Andy has sprinted his way to the peak of his sport, winning silver at the 2006 World Cup, the first podium for an American in 24 years.
Cross-country skiing in the U.S. has come so far since I started. When I went to my first Olympics, the U.S. ski team had like 3 people on it. And since then, the sport has just blown up in the US. We've gotten so much better.
In a sport often dominated by Russia and Norway, Andy and his All-American team are solidifying themselves as a force to be reckoned with, and it's partly due to their collective motto, One Team, encouraging selflessness for the greater good. And in PyeongChang, their main objective is to bring home the gold.
I want to see the US win a medal. If it's me, that's awesome. If it's anybody, who cares? I mean, we just want to win some hardware.
Yeah, you got to get that hardware. Putting on skis, like, what does that mean to you?
At an Olympic venue, it means representing your country, which is awesome. I mean, that never gets old. All those hours and hours of hard work.
This is hard work.
All those years and years, it makes it all worth it. It's not about how fast you go, it's about how much fun you're having, too.
Exactly, see?
You've seen someone cross the finish line, they just collapse on the ground, they got snot and drool coming down their face. That's a classic cross-country skier thing. But that means that they just push themselves as hard as they could go. When you're really digging deep in a race too, we like to call that you're getting into the pain cave. And whether you win a medal or not, like that is what cross-country skiing is all about.
I've been in the pain cave for about 3 minutes now.
It's just maxing yourself out. There's not too many other sports that are quite like that.
4 different paths point towards one common golden goal. And whether these athletes are at the mountain, in the pipe, or on the rink, the pure competition guarantees that this year's Winter Olympics will be one for the ages. So be sure to tune in to the PyeongChang Games right here on NBC and celebrate Passion Connect.